The 49ers just finished their draft for 2023. So let's grade it pick by pick. I'm not going to give each pick a grade right now, but I'm going to give comments on it, and I'll give an overall grade at the end because I think what's most important is the overall grade. Let's not get lost in the details, but I will give an evaluation of each pick, starting with the first pick. The Niners traded up in round 3 to pick 87 to take free safety from Penn State, Jair Brown. After the round, John Lynch called him a freaking baller. I would agree with that. I think Jair Brown is an excellent player. I would compare him to Talanoa Hufanga. Talanoa Hufanga was an all-pro last year. This guy has a similar skill set. Not particularly fast, but neither is Hufanga. They're like 4.65 guys. But they're good at everything else. They're explosive, they're quick, they're instinctual, they have good hand-eye coordination, they intercept passes, they're good tacklers. They're everything except fast. And so you play them together and you give each one half of the field. So I like the pick. That being said, if I had to nitpick, the Niners have shown they can draft and develop safeties that they take in round 5. Talanoa, fifth round pick, played him a little bit as a rookie. By year 2, all pro. They've had so much success drafting in round 5, particularly DBs. Did they have to trade up in round 3 for the next Talanoa Hufanga? Maybe they did. All I'm saying is they traded up for a position they didn't immediately need, a position they've shown they can draft later to get a baller. He is a baller. 5 picks later, though, the Kansas City Chiefs draft Wanya Morris, right tackle from Oklahoma. I think it's going to be interesting to track these two players' careers because the Niners, their biggest need is offensive tackle. They didn't address it, and they said it's because they didn't find one they liked. Well, Kansas City found one they liked 5 picks after the Niners drafted a safety. Safety's an important position, but he doesn't block for the quarterback. The quarterback's the most important position. People who block for him and keep him healthy are the second most important. And so, am I saying the Niners should have drafted Wanya Morris? Not necessarily, but I don't know. Part of me thinks yes. So we'll have to see what happens the next few years. Kansas City drafted another Oklahoma offensive lineman a few years ago. Creed Humphrey worked out great. He's a really good center. So they trust that program, that coaching staff. Guess the Niners don't. So, okay, excellent pick, but they passed on potentially a day 1 starting right tackle that is going to start potentially for the Super Bowl champion. So if he's good enough for Kansas City, why? Okay, it's the first pick. Next pick, Jake Moody, kicker. I mean, I'm trying to be fair here. We all knew kicker was a huge need for the 49ers. They needed a kicker. Robbie Gould is gone, and I just don't like the way they went about this pick. No one took ownership for it afterward. Not word. Everyone from John Lynch to Adam Peters to Kyle Shanahan, they're like, we really leaned on our special teams coach for this one. They all blame Brian Schneider. They're like, yeah, man, I mean, we asked him who we wanted. He picked this guy. If you ask the special teams coach which kicker in the draft he wants you to draft, he's going to pick the best kicker. Duh. Hey, Brian Schneider, hey, watch the kickers. Tell us who the best one is. Okay, I want the best kicker. I want the guy in round 3. What do you think he's going to say? Hey, give me the 5th best kicker. I don't care. Just give me whoever. I'll take him in round 7. You ask, coordinator's going to ask for the best one. So they got the best one because the special teams coordinator asked for him? Great. I guess that's how you get players on this team, huh? I don't like it. You didn't have to get the best kicker in the draft. You could have got the 2nd best kicker or the 3rd best kicker or the 4th best kicker. Honestly, is Jake Moody that much better than the 3rd best kicker in this class? Don't know. Guess we'll find out. Anyway, by taking Jake Moody in round 3, they passed on some right tackles who could start year 1 or eventually for their teams. It could have started for the 49ers. I'm talking Blake Freeland, DeJuan Jones, and Carter Warren. These guys went in round 4, and is Jake Moody going to make a bigger impact than those 3 guys? Well, he's freaking better because the Niners took him in round 3. Not his fault. Not his fault, but it took him in prime territory for starters at key positions. So, okay, Jake Moody, that's an F-, pick. Cameron Latou, I liked it. I liked it a lot. I mean, to me, the tight end from Alabama, his numbers in college were like identical to George Kittle's. And I think he's very similar to George Kittle. He's a guy who probably could start at tight end and be an inline tight end and block like Kittle. He's like Kittle without the speed. He's Kittle with 4.7 speed. which is a big difference from Kittle. I mean, Kittle's a special player. You're not going to find, I mean, there isn't one George Kittle in every draft. There's been one George Kittle of all time. This guy's like Kittle, new to the position, very good athlete, aggressive, good blocker, just a little bit slower, but it's not like Rob Gronkowski was super fast. So I really like this pick. He's a little bit of a developmental pick, but I mean, all these guys are, right? After that, round 5, Darrell Luter Jr., the cornerback. I love this pick. I feel like this is going to be the next great 49ers 5th round draft pick. Darrell Luter Jr., he does everything. He's big, he's long, he's fast, he's explosive, he's good in zone, he's good in man, he plays press, he intercepts passes. I mean, how does this guy fall to round 5? Darrell Luter Jr. is a good argument for not drafting cornerbacks early in the draft, because if he exists in round 5, what are you doing taking risks earlier than that? Anyway, I love this pick. And at this point, like, you already passed on the offensive tackles who matter. So I'm not nitpicking these. These are good picks. The picks I question mostly is Jake Moody. I like Jair Brown. I like Wanya Morris. I think most teams probably had Jair Brown ranked ahead of Wanya Morris on their boards. But Jake Moody ahead of Blake Freeland and DeJuan Jones and Carter Warren, I don't think you can justify that. So that's the big problem there. But this pick, Cameron Latou, great. Darrell Luter Jr., great. Robert Beal Jr., I mean, he wasn't particularly good in college. 5-star recruit, went to Georgia. Didn't really fit their defense. Don't know why he stayed. Say there's 6 years. I mean, he's fast. He has long arms. They're going to give him a shot in a wide 9. And let's see what Chris Kaserik can do. He's the best defensive line coach in the league. This guy is a really good athlete. Apparently, he was playing in the wrong scheme. Now he's in the right scheme. All right, Chris Kaserik, let's see what you got. They pay you a lot of money. You got a sterling reputation. This is the kind of guy you should be able to turn into. I'm not saying a 10-sack guy, but a player on the team. He's got traits. They gave him to you. They trust you. Do something with him, Chris Kaserik. I like this pick. This is the kind of things they should be doing on the offensive line as well. Get some guys with traits. Get them in rounds 4, 5, 6, maybe even 3. And let Chris Forrester do something with him. He's a good coach, too. After Robert Beal Jr., they took D. Winters. I'd compare him to Dre Greenlaw. Really good pick. Another outside linebacker for the Niners. He could start right away. Replaces Azeez Al-Shaair. Then after that, they took tight end Braden Willis from Oklahoma. I'd compare him to Jordan Reed. A little bit more of a finesse tight end than Cameron Latou. More someone you could put as an H-back in the backfield, as a fullback. Maybe a little bit better route runner. Maybe a little bit better receiver right now. But as a combination, that's going to be a nice combination for years to come. I like that pick. Wide receiver Ronnie Bell, I compare him to Dante Pettis with toughness. No disrespect to Dante Pettis, but he didn't really like catching passes over the middle. Ronnie Bell does like doing that. He does like returning punts and kicks, although Pettis thought he did until he got to the NFL. So I guess Ronnie Bell is like a do-over on the Dante Pettis pick, except in round 7 and with an understanding that Pettis wasn't tough enough to fit in this team. And then finally, Jalen Graham, linebacker at the end. He seems like a practice squad guy who could become another Mike linebacker. You know, the outside linebackers are 5'11" and fast. The middle linebacker is supposed to be really tall, so it makes it tough to throw over him, you know, when he's playing zone coverage right in your face. And that's Jalen Graham, potentially, sort of in that Fred Warner mold. I'm not calling him Fred Warner. So, I mean, I basically disliked one pick. But the problem is you made a bunch of really good picks and one ridiculous pick, and you blame the special teams coordinator like he's making decisions. But then you don't address your biggest need. Every single draft analyst, local and national, said the biggest need for the Niners is offensive tackle or offensive line in general. And you didn't draft one offensive lineman, not a tackle, not a guard, not a center, not a nair, nothing. That's really arrogant. It said you draft 2 tackles. Excuse me, you said you draft 2 tight ends, 2 linebackers, two, but not one offensive lineman. I mean, it almost feels like they're thumbing their noses at the whole world for telling them what to do. Oh, we have to draft an offensive lineman. Watch us draft none. All right, man. Well, it's your team. It's your quarterback. You're the team that can't keep any quarterback upright. You're the team that couldn't block anyone in the NFC Championship game. I can't give this draft any higher than a B, because even if you knock out every pick but one, and they're all really good, you have to address your biggest need at some point. You had 11 picks. You could have traded it around. You could have maneuvered however you want. Are you telling me there wasn't one offensive lineman in the entire draft that you liked? Not one? I can't accept that. I can't buy it. So, good draft. It should have been a hell of a draft. It should have been a great draft if they had just addressed their biggest need. But they didn't. So I'm giving it a B. Still a good grade, though.